Alright, and welcome to the 15th video in the series of Copperplate Majuscules. So this is the video for an O. Today I have my favourite oblique holder with a Gillot 303 nib, which I've dipped in some watercolour black ink. The 303 nib is from Gillot, who is an English maker. It is a very delicate nib. And it will therefore give you very, very fine hairlines. It does not require a lot of pressure to separate the tines, so it's described as quite bouncy normally. It does mean that you have to be very thorough when cleaning it, but you know, it's one of those that I would definitely use for finished pieces, commission work, that kind of thing. They are very small though. You can see how small it is in the holder. If you've got a holder like from Speedball or one of those holders that are very, very rigid, then you may not be able to fit this nib in because it is a little bit smaller than that of a Nico G. I think I've got a Nico G here actually. I can show you the size difference. So that is the size of a Nico G versus the size of a Gillot 303. It looks like a parent and child, doesn't it? But 303, it has its own little function and it does it quite well. So a 404 is also really popular, both from Gillot. Okay. All right, so you'll see I started at the 12 o'clock. That's deliberate, so that if I need to, and I always do, I can always continue it on. Gosh, I do have quite a heavy hairline. There we go. All right, let me clean that off really quickly. I do normally start at the 12 o'clock because I tend to struggle starting from further over. I do know some calligraphers that will say and instruct you to start at the 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, even 3 o'clock maybe. Stop that wobble right there. There we go. But I find it easiest to start at the 12 o'clock. So that you can continue it over should you need to. So if I put on here, I'll put that right at the bottom so I can see where I'm going. That it is easiest to start. I think I'm still in frame there. At 12 o'clock. It's kind of like me on a Saturday morning. I find it easiest to start my day at 12 o'clock too. Okay. Yeah, so in an O, it is a contained oval in and of itself. So this could come all the way around to finish off an oval. So you can see it is just a contained oval. The inside sweep is also a contained oval, and both of these are on the slant line right here. Just put that right there. Okay, so both of those are on the slant line, so both the middle part and the outer part are on the slant line. The difficulty with an O, and honestly one of the reasons why it's one of my least favorite, is because of the simplicity of the letter. So for an O, it is so simple. It is just a contained oval that it is very difficult to know how to sort of give it a bit of personality or give it that little bit of special something which makes it an interesting shape to look at, so it's not just an oval. So really to that end, there is only one place you can really flourish, and that is right here. So you can double back on yourself for this internal flourish and just complete your sweep over in the middle. And then you can keep going from that point. I think I'm still in frame, there I am. So we could go straight in right here. And you'll notice that as I'm turning here, I should really keep more than one colored pen at any point. You'll notice that at this point that I'm swinging a lot wider to the left, so I'm keeping a bigger space on the right compared to on the left. That's because I know that I'm gonna swing up and back around. Yeah, so we can continue that on and do some flourishes, whatever, but that is really the only place where you can flourish. Okay, you also need to try to cross, I've said before, but as close to 90 degrees as you can, so it should look something like an Xbox logo up in here, if you've seen one of those before. But all of the pieces, if you draw a circle around where you're crossing your lines over, all of the sections should be roughly the same sort of size as if you're dividing a cake into 4. Seemingly everybody and their mother is in the traffic outside, so do excuse the noise in the background. But we can continue on and flourish this. The issue that I have with the O is that because it is just an oval, it is just a contained oval, means that this whole box is your legibility zone. So it's actually very hard to flourish and come back on yourself. It works a lot better if this is in a particularly decorative piece of work. So if you're doing envelope addressing, then doing a very overly flourished O will be appropriate. But if you're doing work like a birth certificate, a wedding addressing, things like that, you don't want too much flourishing. It's still got to be that level of sophisticated and refined. So it's quite hard to put an O in. It's one of my least favorite letters for that reason. So you should have, let's have a look at this right here so I can look at the rules over here. So you can see the top and bottom sort of limits of my letter right there, just in case my guidelines are not clear. So it means that at the halfway point, this is where your shade, because you are doing a complete C shape from top to bottom, it means that at the middle, this is where, can I move that over a little bit? I can. So this is where your shade should be the thickest. Shade is a term that I've heard a lot with Spencerian, but it's not like it doesn't apply to copperplate. This is the part where you put the pressure on and you get that thick down stroke. That's not going immediately from the top. So it is a gradual increase in pressure. At the halfway point, if I put right here, shade, oh, I'm in frame there by miles, there we go. Thickest. There we go. So the shade should be thickest at the halfway point. Okay. You have a flourishable area right here, so you can continue that line on. Over here, I don't think so much, unless you wanted to loop this round and create something like a that kind of shape. But then you're losing again the oval structure of the letter, so it's quite hard to flourish on an O. But I mean, it's doable. It's very, very doable. It's just, I don't know, I think an O is one of those where it forces you to be that little bit more constrained. But it is doable. I have seen some people that start their O's in the opposite direction. So traditionally O's are done counterclockwise. So you're going around the left hand side with your downstroke. I have seen people that do it the other way around, which I find very confusing and difficult to do. But if you're one of these people, then credit to you. It is quite difficult to do. But they would do almost like an overturn into some kind of loop, and then would try and contain that to be an O. I have seen this done before. I'm not a huge fan of it. You can see that the rules are still being employed here, so they're still working. So you've got a bisect roughly, I mean, don't think I've eyeballed that great, but a roughly bisected area right here. You've got two contained ovals, which are along the slant line here and here, roughly, give or take. So you can see the rules are here, but I just don't think that this reads very well as an O. Totally personal preference though. If this is something that really appeals to you as the way of constructing a letter, then by all means go for it. There are so many variations in Copperplate that it can be really hard to kind of find your feet and find who you are and what hand is similar to yours that you want to emulate. But that's basically all that is for an O. I do think there's a little rule right here about whatever space you've got down here, so that's where your flourish finishes, should be roughly equal to the height of space at the top here. So mine is just short of 5 millimeters, so my 5 millimeter line is here. I'm looking at about 3 millimeters worth of space on top and bottom, and that should be roughly equal. Otherwise it's going to look either top heavy or bottom heavy on your letter. That's about it. Please let me know if you've got any other fun variations of O's. Otherwise, have a good day.